And we are live. Hey, everybody. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Black Authors Matters Tour. We are here talking about Black men that write. I am Lissha Sadler. I am one of the fabulous hosts of Let's Chat, and today I have the honor of facilitating this wonderful event sponsored by the tour, which was actually created by celebrity publicist Nico Too Good. So we do appreciate Nico for the opportunities that he provides for all African American authors in the industry across the board, across the state. We appreciate him for that. Today, I will be honored to speak with 5 fabulous authors, as well as publisher Dr. Calvin Ellison, Michelle Dawkins, Jerome Miller, Tod S. and Patrick Dorman. Welcome, everyone. Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you, Lisa. So glad to be with you.
Glad that you are here. Now, Dr. Ellison, I'm going to start with you because this was actually a anthology or a book that you put together. Let's talk a little bit about the book.
Which one?
The one that all of these authors are in.
Okay. Well, they're actually in different books.
Okay.
We do have 2 of them that are in the same book, which is Volume 1 and Volume 2 of Men Magnifying Manhood.
Okay.
A book that we as men came together to give hope, guidance, and empowerment to other men to be better men, with the understanding if we produce better men, we'll have better families, a better society. So these guys have come together along with me, and we together put together Men Magnifying Manhood, Volumes 1 and Volume 2, with the intent to empower our fellow brothers.
Absolutely. And I just want to go back because a Black man that can write is a powerful man. So what really inspired you to start writing?
Well, looking at the situation of so many men not having a role model in the home, and just looking back on my own evolution, where my father was not married to my mother, so he was not there to be that coach, that counselor, that mentor in my life. And as I began to evolve into my adult years, I saw the tremendous need after having pastored for 20 years in counseling with men, coaching men. I just saw that larger need for not just something for Calvin Ellison to do, but for us to do in empowering this generation of men.
Absolutely. Now, I just want to go back. We've had you on our show before, so we talk about a go moment, which is really just the moment that you decided to step into the literary industry and start writing for the masses. What was that process like for you?
Well, it really launched in 2016 when I had to come out of my comfort zone. And one of the books that we put together is entitled Beyond Your Comfort Zones, How to Realize Your Full Potential. So when I stepped out of my comfort zone, I had written a book back in 2006, and it had been a long while since that particular time. So 2016, we do Beyond Your Comfort Zone, and that's when all this other stuff began to evolve, when Calvin Ellison got out of his comfort zone. So that's where the Men Magnifying Manhood, the Women Magnifying Womanhood, and other writings began to launch from, which right today, Lissha, I'm a firm believer that we're all carrying diamonds and rubies and jewels, but they're locked up oftentimes in our comforts. And when we come out of our comforts and think about a world that's much, much larger than our own immediate world, then we can activate things, first of all, in our own selves, and then help activate dreams and visions and things that we all have that we can deliver to one another to make our world better. So with the inspiration of God, it all began to evolve from Calvin Ellison, get out of your comfort zone. And my comfort zone, my biggest comfort zone at that time was North Carolina. And so I had to leave North Carolina to meet with all these other great people and others that are involved in these projects. And together now we're out to creating a better world.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for what was the first book that you decided to venture out into and add other authors to?
Well, the first one was Men Magnifying Manhood, Volume 1. Okay,
Okay. And who contributed to that book
oh my God, we've got
that we have here today?
oh, here today. Okay. We have Todd Rhodes, and he and I went through a battle for a while. Not a battle, but we had a good time connecting and relating together. So Todd and Todd's in volume 1, and then when we did volume 2, Jerome Miller is in volume 2 of Men Magnifying Manhood.
Absolutely. I love it. So let's start with Todd. Todd, tell us what made you want to or inspire you to start writing and participate in this project with Dr. Ellison?
A quick story how this got started. Dr. Ellison and I have a mutual friend that is into holistic health. And for those of you who didn't know, Dr. Ellison is a holistic health doctor. So we were at a seminar. He was a presenter and he had his books there. And after the seminar, I was on my way out the door. I was like, I did everything I need to do. Let me get out of here. And he was right there by the door with his books. We started talking, and he mentioned, I somehow in the conversation, he mentioned that I had a journalism degree. And he was like, oh, really? I said, I'm working on this book called Men Magnifying Manhood. And I promise you, the second he said that, my first reply to him was, how can I get involved? It was an immediate reaction because I never heard that phrase before, one. And then I said, if men are magnifying manhood, I'm all in. Simple as that. And he said, well, I'll send you an email with some instructions and we'll get this ball rolling. And I have to say, it's been such an enlightening experience, not just to reflect on my part of the book, but to read and to experience the stories of 15 other Black men who are sharing their life stories was so inspirational to me. And it really did magnify manhood for me. It really forced me to take a second, third, fourth, fifth look at myself as a man, and also look at the stories of the others and just kind of, just reflect on manhood in general. And I tell you, it's been a wonderful ride ever since I met Dr. Ellison and since I've been involved in this book. And it's necessary right now for Black men. It is very necessary for us right now to have a book like this that we can collaborate on and just share.
Absolutely. That is absolutely fascinating. I love it. I love it. And Jerome?
Yes. Me and Dr. Ellison, we met through a mutual friend as well, who's actually on the live broadcast as well, Miss Michelle Dawkins. Because I interned with her this past semester because I was a student at Georgia State, and I had to intern with her. So she was like, I want to connect you with Dr. Calvin Ellison. He'll be a great resource and a mentor to you. He actually write books and stuff. So I'm like, okay. So we actually met right at the beginning of the pandemic before everything shut down, and we met in the parking lot. So when we met, it was just a genuine conversation. Obviously, he's older than me, but it was a lot of similarities and a lot of similar stories that we had as far as like going beyond your comfort zone, such as me leaving my comfort zone in Savannah, Georgia. I felt like it was time for me to leave, and I left. So just me being asked to be a part of the book, and seeing other men such as myself, that's my age, right? Their own stories and their upbringings and where they come from, and the importance of what it means to be a man, and our value in society. It's been a great ride so far, and I'm happy to be aboard. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. And so after you you decided to sit down and write this book, Dr. Ellison. What was the intent behind your thought process, and what impact has it actually had since it's been published?
Well, looking at the need that's in the world of us as men, the need for identity, an understanding of our identity, our purpose, roles and responsibilities, and just the need to help inspire us to be more productive in life. That's where it really the passion began to launch from. And some of what we have seen afterwards are the people that are on this call today. Some of these people that are on the call are the results of what had happened because now they are authors. They're
Absolutely.
writers themselves. They are sharing their lives to help
Mm-hmm.
enrich this generation of males, men, fathers, grandfathers, so forth and so on. And it didn't stop with just the men because I think the first person who bought the book is on this line as well, and that's Michelle Dawkins. He bought the first book. So it has spilled over from not just men empowering men, but women helping to empower men as well. And that has been a true delight.
Absolutely. And I'm going to ask you, Miss Michelle, from a woman's point of view, what impact did that book have on you when you picked it up?
I think you said it when you first started that a man who writes is a very powerful man. And I've spent the majority of my life working non-traditional jobs, working with men. I've taught inside of Hancock State Prison. So I've been a great part of my life has been working around men. And many of them have a story to tell, but many of them don't have a platform like this. So
That's
I
right.
think I was just so excited when Dr. Ellison shared what he was doing. And I couldn't help but to go and order some books because I have brothers and I have male friends that I just really felt needed to read the book and that they would resonate with the stories that were in there. And immediately I gave it to a friend of mine who shared it with her son. And I even believe that they reached out to one of the men that were a part of Men Magnifying Manhood. And to me, that's powerful in itself that, she was able to share that with her son and then go from that point to connecting with one of the authors and then feeling that, there was some synergy there. So I think that was what first made me so excited about the book, because like I said, after working with men and hearing their stories and knowing that they have stories to tell and there's really nowhere for them to share those stories, I think this was really God inspired by Dr. Ellison. And I'm so glad to be a part of the movement as well.
Well, Lissha, now I've got to add to what Michelle said because I think she ordered 2 or 3 copies. And I
Mhm.
said, well, Michelle, what are you going to do with 2 or 3 copies? She said, one of them I'm going to read for myself. That really grabbed me, you know.
I
So,
love it. Now, the second book you wrote, tell us about that book and the intent behind writing the volume two.
well, volume 2 came about because as the word began to get out, more men were like, well, how can I get involved? How
Mhm.
can I share my story to empower, to bless, to nurture somebody else's life? So I figured out that, well, I just can't stop with volume 2. Other guys want to get in and now share their stories. So that's how volume 2 evolved.
I love it. Now, let's talk about the books that you have, Miss Michelle and Mr. Dorman and Mr. Patrick. How did those books come about? What was the intent behind creating those?
Is that intended for Dr. Ellison or for us?
For Dr. Ellison.
Oh, okay. Well, you can't do a men magnifying manhood, particularly when you got a girlfriend in the house of 37 years at that time. Without my wife for 37, going on 38 years now, I call her my girlfriend, of course. Without us, and we've been doing it for all of our marriage mostly, dealing with men and women. So
Uh-huh.
the women magnifying womanhood was an automatic. You got to do it if you're going to have the kind of society that we all deserve, because it takes the men and the women. We wanted to make sure that women were magnified as much as the men. So this is where women magnifying womanhood came to play, and then bringing the two of us together. And we did. I think Todd, Michelle, and I were on the first celebration that we had, a men magnifying manhood, women magnifying womanhood celebrational event. And it was a dynamic event. So, yeah, we had to do women magnifying womanhood.
Absolutely. Now, Miss Michelle, I want to ask you, what was that process like for you, stepping into the realm of writing for the masses?
It was an awesome experience. It gave me an opportunity to take a look back from whence I started, things that you tend to forget along the way, because like Jerome said, and as Dr. Ellison have said, um, I'm a transplant here in Atlanta too. I'm from New England. And so I had to take that journey back. Like, what motivated me to come to Atlanta, to a place where I only knew one person at the time, which was really my roommate from college. Um, and when I got here, I had two young daughters. I was a single mother. And so there were many struggles along the way. And so I only shared pieces of those stories, but it allowed me that opportunity to take a look back from where I was, from motherhood to a worker, and then becoming an entrepreneur, and just taking a look and seeing, wow, I've accomplished a lot. And people measure success in many ways, but in my mind's eye, success doesn't really have a price tag on it. It's the journey and the people that you meet along the way. And so the people that I've met during my stay here in Atlanta, the people that I've met just through doing what we're doing with Dr. Ellison being such a tremendous connector. And we became connected through the Atlanta Black Chamber, because as soon as I started talking about what I did, the first thing that the person that at the orientation said was, "Oh my God, we got to introduce you to Dr. Ellison." And then from Dr. Ellison, I've met some amazing people. And so I think life is really all about connecting. And so once I think, we get into that space and we realize that our lives are not just for ourselves, they are meant to share. And so this is one of the mediums or one of the platforms that we have. And I'm just truly blessed to be a part of it.
Absolutely. And Patrick, what was the writing process like for you when you decided to step in to the realm of writing?
Uh, it was interesting. It was new to me. First and foremost, I'm a truck driver, and I own my own trucking company. But like Todd said, there's a story behind it. I met Dr. Ellison, on a day where I was seeking to do something else besides trucking. I wanted to get into farming, and me and my wife, we just drove, and we saw this man in the parking lot with his granddaughter just running around. And we drove up to him, and we started asking him questions. And just because my wife had on a Calvin Klein sweater, he said to us, "You know Dr. Calvin Ellison?" And my wife was like, "No, I don't know him." Um, and we started talking about farming and stuff. So she was like, "Well, I needed to get in touch with, with Dr. Calvin, and we called him, and from there on, he was a great inspiration. Like, I didn't know I had the ability to write, like to be an author, and it has been amazing so far. It brought me to a place where I actually starting to change my life. Like, I used to party, be on the road a lot, and ever since I met Dr. Ellison, like he's been such an inspiration. Like, I have better connection with my family and my kids because, like, when I started writing, I said to my wife, I'm like, I feel like I'm in school again. Like I'm actually, day to day life, you just have to get up and you gotta hustle and bustle just to provide for your family and to take care of your responsibility. But it was definitely a change for me because I'm home every day. Usually I'm out, but it's been a journey. It's been an interesting journey, and I appreciate him, and I'm looking forward to more ventures. As an author now, not a contributing author, but just as an author. So it's great. I like it.
I love it. Jerome, what about you?
Yes. Do you mind repeating the question, please?
Absolutely. What was the process like for you stepping into the realm of an author and contributing to this book?
To be honest, it was quite easy because I actually write myself. I started on a book of my own back in 2017, but I kind of stopped because I felt like it wasn't the right timing. So when he asked me after we met the day before, to be a contributing writer, I was like, sure, interesting. And then the topic that it was about, male empowerment, I was like, that's like one of my strong suits because I preach and I'm on that same exact thing, to my peers and people from my hometown because so I'm at the age of 25 where I kind of understand and I realize and I'm out here where I can see what's going on with the people around my age and the people that's coming up underneath me. So, it wasn't a problem. It was like a strong suit and it was very smooth sailing for me. So like I said, it's a fun ride. I'm looking forward to what's next because, we just getting started.
Lost her.
It looks like Patrick, you may have to take the lead then.
Okay.
But good stuff, guys.
New
Good
host, real
stuff.
quick.
Right. I'm here. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, this is great.
All right,
This is
Yeah,
great.
now
right.
we can take Patrick off the hook now. See,
And Todd,
he's doing
what
good.
about
He's
you?
doing good.
I'm frightened.
Todd, what about you? What was the writing process like for you stepping into the realm of being an author?
As I mentioned before, I have a journalism degree, so I've been writing for years. The interesting thing is I'd never delved into
Mm-hmm.
writing anything about myself in writing my own story. I've been published in a couple of other books as a ghostwriter, and I've also just written just with my work. But getting into writing about myself was almost like going back to square one and learning to write again, just because you have to, for me, writing is a very introspective, very emotional experience, especially when you're writing about a time in your life where you may have gone through some pain. You have to kind of revisit those feelings sometimes to get into the place where you can actually tell that story. So that for me, that was powerful for me because I found myself actually reconciling some of the pain and some of the feelings that I talked about in my chapter of the book. So it was very therapeutic for me, absolutely therapeutic and uplifting because I was able to fill some gaps when I thought back about what the experience I went through and then actually had to write about it. It really peeled back the layers again for me and found some new things that I didn't know they were inside of me, and I was able to get those out through the book. So overall, I would say it was a therapeutic experience and a very a blessing experience. I've been blessed through participating in this book.
Absolutely. Now, there's a heavy cost when it comes to pursuing vision and pulling yourself and your vision together because it's a learning process. You learn a lot about yourself, and then you learn a lot about your skills and your abilities. Who has been your biggest support system throughout all of this? We'll start with Dr. Ellison.
Well, I'd say my biggest support system has got to be my girlfriend of 38 years in November. Yeah, she's constantly do it, honey. Step out of your comfort zone, honey. Get to the edge of the nest and jump. So I'd have to say her first and foremost, and then just being connected with these guys around the table and others like them. I'm telling you, it's been like heaven on earth. Because when you connect with people of the like same mentality, passions, and desires to contribute to our world, is nothing like it. And I'm telling you, apart from my wife, I'd have to say this group of people and others like them has been motivation like what you could not imagine. And I honor all of them for believing in me enough to trust me and the editor and the others with their stories to where we could do this thing together. And so I honor all of you guys that are on this call because Without you, we would not have the books that can now empower our generation.
Absolutely. And Miss Michelle?
I would have to say my family. I have a very extremely supportive family. Anything that I set out to do, they like are right behind me, wooing me on. But particularly my oldest daughter, I think she has really inspired me to, do everything. If I say I'm going to do it, she's like, "Oh, mom, come on, you can do it." Even getting back into school, working on my master's degree. She's really, really one of my biggest cheerleaders. Both of my daughters, but primarily my oldest daughter.
Absolutely. And Patrick?
Uh, my biggest supporter in this whole journey is, is my wife, because I'm gonna say this. This book venture happened right in the pandemic, and I felt like I was about to go crazy. Just staying in the house, just it was a change. It was like a life changing experience for me. You know, like just staying in the house. I didn't have nothing to do, and it put me to so much work. And I had to think about what I'm writing. I got to get my grammars right, and I had to get everything right because, of course, I had Dr. Ellison calling me and being like, "Oh, Patrick, we got to get this done. We need to get this done." You know what I mean? So,
Go, don't say that to the rest of
he's
these
been
folks. They're gonna be shooting at me.
no, sure,
No, no, good stuff. Good stuff.
it was definitely, yeah, definitely. It was definitely out of my comfort zone. But Dr. Ellison has been a supporter, and my wife, as well as my kids also. So, like I said, just the journey period is great. I like it.
Absolutely. And Todd?
I have to reflect what Dr. Ellison and Patrick said. My wife was very, we're of course very close, but through the process of writing the book, I would reflect with her a little bit on some things, and she encouraged me through the whole process. I'll have to put a close second. I put Dr. Ellison as a close second there because there were a couple of times where I had a lot going on at the time. And I think I had met him, and the book was nearly done almost. And I think I was one of he had just met me, and a couple of other authors dropped out at the last minute, and I was able to luckily fill one of those spots. But I was really under the gun to get it done, really under the gun. And Dr. Ellison, he told me another funny story. I called him one day and I was like, "Doc, I don't want to hold you up anymore. I got a lot going on. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get it done." And just as calmly as he's speaking now, he said, "Well, your name is already on the book. So
Book. Yeah.
what can I expect? Your chapter." so, so I was just kind of like, okay, well, I guess I'm doing this. I'm not getting out of this one. So, but I'm so glad that it happened that way because in the end, I thought back about it. I was kind of running away from facing a few things, but Dr. Ellison forced me to stay in the pocket, so to speak, and really push through and get it done. And now I'm asking him, when's your next project? How can I get involved in your next project?
Absolutely.
It's it's really opened that door for me. And I'll add one thing just about Dr. Ellison as a person. He has a gift for bringing things out of you, and I'm sure everybody on this call can relate to it. He just has a way of relating to people and pouring into people that really just reaches in and just pulls good stuff out of you. And I just have to give him kudos for that, and just reflect on that as another positive experience about being involved in.
Absolutely. And Jerome?
Uh, Outside of my mom, I'm gonna kind of be a little outcast with this. I would say failure is my biggest supporter, and that's kind of weird to say, but a little bit of experiences that I had with failure, growing up and whatnot, it kind of pushed me to be like, okay, it's good to continue to accept failure, but it's like my strongest motivator because it constantly keep me on my toes and make me 10 times better than the last player that I experienced. And it keeps me going. Like I'm always, staying for the other, taking care of what I got to take care of, and getting things done and being accomplished of what I'm trying to get done. I'm on a mission. So I would say failure definitely keeps me in that mindset. So that has been my biggest support and my motivator on the journey so far.
I love it. I love it. Now, when we think about literature, we know that African American men have been contributing to literature for centuries. What impacts, now that you guys are authors, do you want your writing to be? We'll start with Jerome. Since you have that book that you didn't finish yet, we'll start with Jerome.
You said an impact that I would like my literature to have.
The impact you want your pen to have.
I would say the impact I would like my pen to have is just to provide people with, the authentic truth and what I'm bringing to the table, as well as the ability to be open-minded. Because a lot of people, when they read literature, books in general, they're not open-minded, and it's born from the start. They'll close the book, but the book actually, a lot of them get good in the middle, towards the end, instead of the beginning. So I would want my literature to provide, the ability to people to be open-minded, confident in their abilities. Because in the book, I kind of haven't finished it yet. But my book, the majority of it, is going to be self-help books to kind of get people over the hump in any hindrance that they're experiencing in their life. Whether it be mental, physical, emotional. That's something I want to provide, as well as positivity, because a lot of people struggle with positivity in this world. Like, for example, with the pandemic, as Patrick stated, he was going through, I guess a time where, the pandemic was having a negative effect on him. So, for example, with my book, whenever that finishes, I could provide him with positive literature to kind of get him through that storm. And he could use that as motivation to continue going and be like, okay, little phase that I was going through negativity, it was just, something else trying to get me down and actually steer me away from what I was really trying to accomplish in this pandemic. So that's a few stuff.
Absolutely. And Miss Michelle?
I would like my book to show women, just ordinary women like myself, that we do have a story to tell, however minute we think it is. I start my chapter with what I called a map called YAH, you are here. And I talk about how that signage is in malls and places like that. This is where we are. And then to get to another place, we follow that map, so to speak. And I want women to know that, there is a blueprint in our life, in our lives, and there's a way for us to go. And that once we sit down and really do our introspective look at ourselves, God has an MO that's particular to Michelle. There's a certain way God speaks to me, just like there's a certain way he speaks to other people. And I was one of the fortunate ones to start hearing him and following that path. So that was my Yah map. And then as I started writing that chapter, I heard the Spirit telling me, look up what YAH means spiritually. And it was one of the names of God. And I mean, that day, that revelation to me was just so profound, because here I was writing from what I thought was my own mind, and all along he was leading me in that chapter as well. And so I just think that I want women to understand that there is a way for them, and that writing, if it takes writing it down, then so be it, because at the end of that thing, we'll find that destination. And I'm still on that journey. Our life is a lifelong journey, but I'm excited to know what my path looks like and what it has been. And I can see where I veered off the path as well.
Absolutely. I love it. Now, Todd, what about you?
I really want my book to be, or my chapter in the book to be a inspiration to men. primarily, and I want I things in the book. I went through some trials and tribulations dealing with the child support system, which is something I've wanted to educate men about for a long time. And that part I wrote up in the book and how that relates to being a man. And the title of my chapter is "Manhood Under Siege: Putting the Man Back in Manhood." And in that, I examine
Todd, we think you went on mute.
Music, you muted, Todd.
You're muted. You're muted.
Okay, we're gonna go to Dr. Ellison. Oh, okay, go ahead, Todd. You're unmuted now. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm unmuting. Okay, there we go. I'm sorry. Was I muted the whole time?
Yes.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
the last few words that you said, but that's okay.
But yeah, I just want to, oh goodness. My apologies. I'll give a quick review. The title of my chapter is Men Under Siege: Putting the Man Back in Manhood. I deal with some experiences in my chapter that I had being a part of the child support system, which is not always your friend. And I deal with a lot of the things that happen there as it relates to manhood and being and choosing, just making choices when it comes to relationships and things of that nature. So I really want men to be able to draw from that and be educated about certain things that they and certain ways they're supposed to act and proceed through those type of experiences. So overall, I just really want my chapter to be an inspiration to other men that have gone through that or may go through that type of situation. I can honestly say I don't have one friend that has not been impacted by the child support system in some way negatively. Now, it's designed to be a certain way, but oftentimes there are things that happen that are very unfair and actually do more damage than good. So that's really what I want to educate men about, in addition to just uplifting other men and being able to share with one another as a means of healing as men.
Absolutely. And Dr. Ellison?
Well, there's a song that one of my favorite songs, one of my favorite gospel songs is "Don't Give Up on God because God won't give up on you." And so, in my writings, I would like for
Mm.
people to be so stirred, so motivated to where they are determined to see the next version of themselves. That the version of themselves that they've been living with right now is not all there is, that there is a greater version of yourself that will emerge if you keep believing in God, you keep believing in yourself, and you keep feeding off the affirmations of other people who care about your journey. Just hold on, turn the page. There's another chapter that's going to reveal a greater version of who you really are.
Absolutely. Now, Dr. Ellison, I want to ask you, how has Black Lives Matter enhanced your writing journey?
Well, it's caused me to be more determined to be a contributor to the issues that are going on and put it in a book because we see a lot of the problems, of course. But I want to be able to I want to be able to help bring some stuff to the table that brings the solution to these continual ills that we have, whether it be because of the racism, Black men dying prematurely because of being killed from whatever angle, to just a lot of issues concerning our existence. And so I want to, not by myself, but with other people like the people that are at this table. Hey guys, let's come together and render a solid or solid solutions that can give the next generation a good foundation from which to start. So it has motivated me to go get those, find those solutions and realize they're not all in you, but they are in us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, one thing we tend not to talk about a lot of times is the business side of books. You know, it's really not talked about a lot, and it should be talked about more because as you become an author and you publish a book, you become a business. What have you learned during this process, Mr. Ellison?
I've learned that we can get a whole lot more done and we can get it done faster when you bring other people to the table and give them the opportunity to be involved, to market themselves because now they have the tool, they have the book or the whatever through which to do it. And as I think everybody at the table today will see, part of my motivation and my challenging them is you are a corporation yourself. Your life matters. Don't just look at this book that you're involved in and, well, we created a book. No, yeah, we did create a book, but we also had created a business and we need to push it. We need to push the business, in this case, the business of you. And I'll tell them, push your life, market your life, put yourself in the position to where more people can know about the business of you because it's really the business of you, the incorporation of you that I really believe that will sell the most.
Absolutely. And Miss Michelle, how has the business side of being an author been for you? What are some of the things you've experienced?
Well, I can say that I've not pushed it like I should have, but for those that I did, I shared it with my family members, and they were actually very proud of me. Number one, but I know that I can do better because my story is somewhat unique, in the journey that I've had. And like I said, I've worked in predominantly male dominated jobs since I got out of college. I still do because I do like OSHA related trainings, and most of my classes, I say 85% of them are men. And so I try to talk about that, that, we could still have our feminine side working in non-traditional jobs. And then
That's
I
right.
didn't share a lot of the other part of that because there are some ugly sides of that as well. But I think that I'm going to do a better job in terms of the marketing because I need to get my story out. Because, like you said, this is a part of me. And so when you hire me as a consultant, this is a big part of why I operate the way that I do. And I need people to know just not just the business, the consultant, but you need to know who I am as a person. And that's a piece that, now that we're talking about it, I need to enhance a little bit more.
Absolutely. And Jerome.
Well, it's my first time. It's been pretty good for me. I have some expertise in marketing, and I'm a millennial, so it's been pretty fun. I've been able to market to my family. They've been great at supporting it. I've been able to market to some of my professors at school, outside of the black race, and they've been very supportive of it. I've been able to market to people through social media when I posted on my Instagram. I had a lot of people hitting me up saying basically, what can I give it to? I want to give it to my guy friend because I feel like he'll, be a great benefit to it. So it's been a good ride so far. I'm very blessed and happy to be a part of it, and yeah, I'm gonna continue to promote it and promote myself as best as I can. So it's been a good ride though.
I love it. And Patrick? I think Patrick is froze, so let's go with Todd.
Um, yeah, it's been great. I actually have had to purchase a second batch of book one because I sold the first batch that I had, and I wound up selling those. But I just ordered more from Dr. Ellison, and I'm getting ready to hit the road. Not to go on tour per se, but I'm really gearing up to to start really heavily marketing the book because it needs to get out there. It's needed, and all my family have been supportive. My friends have been supportive, so I'm just going to explore it. And it kind of feels when you get the name author, it kind of forces you to kind of straighten up a little bit, kind of polish yourself up a little bit because if you're saying you're an author, then people kind of expect you to have your stuff together.
Yeah.
It's definitely helped in that regard as well, stepping up my game. So really happy for that.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So, is it safe to say that each of you are taking that story that you have contributed to this book and expanding that to write your own books?
That's the goal.
Well, like I
No,
said,
no, Patrick.
Definitely.
I mean, Jerome. So why do you say no?
huh?
Why do you say no?
No, I wasn't saying. I was like, yeah, actually, it kind of the book I'm writing about and the book that I'm a part of kind of they correlate. They got a lot of
Okay.
similarities. So it pushes me to actually finish the book that I started.
Okay.
So that's what I was just want to say. It kind of go hand in hand. It just being a part of Men Magnifying Manhood, Maryland Department Volume 2. It gave me that push in there, the conscience to basically be like, okay, you need to go and finish your book and get it out there instead of waiting. Because what are you waiting on? The only thing is passing you by is time that you can't get back. So that's what having the luxury of being this part has given me the privilege and capabilities to do.
Absolutely. And that's so true that you said that because we're really mindful about how we speak to other people, how we pour into other people. But when it comes to ourselves, we tend to give ourselves a lot of excuses on why we can't do something. We don't have time. It's not the right time. So we tend not to step out when it's placed into our belly to do so. Dr. Ellison, let us know what's next. What's your next set of books that you have for this fabulous group?
Oh wow! Now you're getting ready to put them to work. But we do have planned volume 2 of Women Magnifying Womanhood. We do have planned to really get the womanhood movement out there very, very strongly. We do have plans also for the principles of manhood. The principles of manhood. Those are some of the immediate projects that we have next, as well as also getting over into doing some documentaries on the people that are involved in the books too.
Absolutely. And I just want to just touch on a little bit of the subject of the book. Um, what are some ways, and I'm going to ask each of you this, that women can support men?
Good question.
We're going to start with Dr. Ellison. What are some of the ways Black women can support our Black men?
Well, I think one of the first ways that come to mind is like what we're telling our Caucasian brothers. You got to speak up for us, seeing that we're being killed in the streets. You see what is happening to us. You can't keep silent. You got to speak up. And I believe that the same thing can be done with the women, and women are doing that. We have a lot of different women presenters. Um, uh, um, Lissha, a lot of women presenters on our Tuesday night calls, on our Tuesday night Men Magnifying Manhood Empowerment calls. So women can help us by speaking like people like Michelle has been doing, and other women that are involved in the project, like what my wife, of course, does. By speaking up for men. We had a dynamic call this past Tuesday night with Joyce Anisium, who's an author herself. And wow, did she bring it? Todd can verify this. She brought it on. She spoke up for us as men, and it was so empowering. So women
Absolutely.
speaking up on behalf of men is a way to really help us.
And Miss Michelle.
I think, first of all, women being sensitive to what men actually need and not trying to put what we think they need first. I think that's really key. And as I said, having worked around men for a number of years, what we think they need may very well be very different from what they actually need. So allowing them to have a voice and then being supportive behind them in a soft way, because sometimes I think women, we can come on very strong, but just being the nurturing, listening, loving individuals that we were created to be, I think is a big part of what we should be doing as women. Because as Dr. Ellison said, right now our Black men are under attack. And so we want to be the ones that are there speaking up for them and letting them know that we have their back.
Absolutely. And Patrick.
Uh, I think that women. I mean, I'm gonna say this: when people speak about women, they say women are such emotional creatures. I feel like every human being are emotional creatures. So therefore, I feel like women should be more appreciated than men because the pressure and the and the standards that are set for us as men, one, to be the leader of a family, to be the provider, to be everything. Sometimes we need just a little bit more support and just to be shown that appreciation and just sometimes just to let men in general know that you can do it. Sometimes just words of encouragement is enough, like for example, say like Dr. Ellison always said to me, he's like, yo, Patrick, you know, you can do it, you know what I mean? So sometimes it's just that appreciation and just to show that love and respect and you know everybody come together. Everything should be great.
Absolutely. Jerome.
Uh, I'm the young one in the bunch, but I would say just my experiences of being around men and women in a few marriages. I would say women to support men to I guess get more involved and in tune with this. They have to reiterate to men, who they are. I feel like that's a lost art in society nowadays. There's a lot of women who are not reiterating and providing that confidence to men that their need to want to, get into speaking out and, exemplifying to society who they are and getting out to the young men in society and making emphasis on who they are, what they value in society going forward, and the way transition into. I would say that should definitely, they have to be that backbone and support system to men, and just reiterate to them, who they are and the voice that they have and how powerful their voice is. So those are a few ways I feel like women could, be a great support system to men.
Absolutely. And Todd.
I definitely would respect what everyone else has said on the call. Only thing I would add is that for women to educate themselves about not only their man, if they happen to be with a man and married, but educate themselves about what men go through. And a good way to do that is to get a copy of Men Magnifying Manhood, Volume 1, and Men Magnifying Manhood Volume 2. And that's more than
Oh, you did it,
That's
Tom.
right. That's right. I love it.
shameless plug. Right.
We got to get it right, Todd. We got to get it right. Okay.
Me and Dr. Ellison had this talk.
Right.
We had this talk. I'm like, listen, show your book every time you talking about it. Put it up there so people can. You want them to be visual. People they got that visual concept. So
absolutely.
I like to do a little bit of fun things with guests, only because we are, really allowing people to learn and experience you guys. So I'm going to ask each of you guys just a fun question. If you could choose 3 people to invite for dinner, who would they be and why? We're going to start with Dr. Ellison.
I knew I was going to be first.
Do they have to be dead, or can it be a
Dead or alive.
Okay.
You just have to say why you want them to be at the table with you.
Three
Okay.
people to be at the table.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I would, right off the top of my head, I would invite Michael Jordan to the table.
Why?
Why?
Uh-huh.
Because I did not like him when he was beating up on the Boston Celtics, you know, and other teams that I like. But I would invite him to the table to continue to pick his brain on why he was so motivated to be the GOAT. Then I would I'd invite my wife to the table to ask her, will you marry me all over again? Help me be a better Calvin Ellison. You know, add more ingredients now that we've been married for 38 years to help me be a better Calvin Ellison. And I'd invite some of the people around on this call to talk about how can we together make life better after you have determined to make your own life better. I'd like to invite my colleagues on this call and others like them to the table.
Absolutely. And Jerome?
First and foremost, I must say I will start with Malcolm X. That'll be the first person I invite to the table. He's my number one idol. You know, I feel like Malcolm X has probably been the most intellectual person to ever walk this earth. What he was preaching, and he was very misunderstood, but what he was preaching and the emphasis that he made to the world is going on today. And if you ever get a chance to read his book, the autobiography of Malcolm X, as told by Alex Haley, it's probably the best book, one of my favorite books of all time. Just what he was talking about, and what he stood on. It was such a joy to hear and understand. Second, I would say Harriet Tubman. I want to invite her to the table because Harriet Tubman, she is the epitome of a black queen. What she did by basically going to, you know, escape, but go back and forth to the railroad to, get her family and whoever else she felt that belonged to get them out of slavery and what they was experiencing. I have no choice but to have a strong woman at the table with me to kind of provide me with those same, insights, but from a woman perspective, because like I said, that's a lost art of society. We don't have too many black women that is powerful and have a voice. And third, I have to say the late Kobe Bryant. He molded his game after Michael Jordan, and he was just relentless on his pursuit and his work ethic. This guy used to get up 5 o'clock in the morning to train and work on his routine, practice. He just had a drive that we have yet to see since Michael Jordan. So, and also he was smart. He was very smart. He did a lot outside of the game of basketball, as we got to witness when he passed. So those are the three that I went back to my table.
Absolutely. Miss Michelle?
I would probably start with Solomon. And I say Solomon because I'm a lover of wisdom. I love knowledge and wisdom. And I love the fact that with all of the things he could have asked for, he asked for wisdom. And then, God just blessed him with the much. But I think right now at this season, we need wisdom. That's what we need because we're in such a deep, dark place right now in our nation, in our world. And we need something outside of what we know as the normal to bring us out of this thing. Esther would be the second person because once again, she was able to do some incredible things. She was able to get before the king. And we know that, the heart of the king is in God's hands. And so that's what we need as well right now. And then I think the third person would probably be Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama represents I think, the epitome of women of a woman right now. She represents this strong, intelligent Black woman. She represents a dynamic mother, wife, business person, just all of those things. When we talk about women magnifying womanhood, I think her time in that office, we were able to see something we've not seen in our nation ever before because she represented all of that. And I don't know if we're going to see that again. I hope we do. But while she was there, she was our Esther. It was such a time as this that we needed to see that. We needed to see a strong Black family in the White House, with a woman that stood by her husband's side despite all of the stuff that went on and despite what you believe in. They represented a family very, very well. So I would say Solomon, Esther, and Michelle Obama.
Oh,
And
right.
Lissha, and Lissha, all of Michelle's guests will be my next three.
And Patrick?
Uh, I really wish that we would spend more than 3, because I really would love to see the whole world at the table. But since you only say 3, um, one, I would love to see my dad. Like, I just want my parents really to be proud of me, and I want them to witness my journey to success, because I know I'm going to be successful. And my wife, she has always been there for me. You know, we've been through thick, we've been through thin. I've been married for 14 years now, so I definitely want to see her. You know what I mean? And like I personally idolize Denzel Washington. I think he's a very powerful man. I listen to his YouTube videos sometimes, not every morning, but most morning. Especially that one that he speaks about, falling forward and not falling back. You know what I mean? So in life, like I honestly wish everybody could be there. You know what I mean? So that's my take.
All right. And Todd? I think Todd might be frozen.
Oh, wow, that's a loaded question for me.
Todd Rose.
Am I frozen? Am I good?
Yep, you can.
Yeah, that's a loaded question for me. Okay, I'd have to say, goodness, and it's just this sticking in my head, but I would love to sit and be a part of a conversation with this Allah and Buddha at the same time. Did everybody
Why?
hear that?
Why? You didn't tell us why.
Because, be, I'm sorry, I thought I had froze, but I would really love to hear those three powerful entities, if you will, converse, and just to be in their aura. I think the most powerful experience I conjure in my mind right now, and just to really hear all three of those inspirational figures that have been inspirational throughout history to so many. I would really want to. I'd love to just pick their brains. That's even possible, but that would, I think, would be a very, very powerful conversation to be a part of.
I love it. I love it. Well, we so appreciate you guys taking your time out, sharing your space, sharing your energy, sharing your craft and creativity with us here at Black Authors Matter. We thank you guys. We want each of you to shout out your social media and where everyone can get the book. We're going to start with Dr. Ellison.
All right. Well, you can reach me on Facebook, Instagram, and you can get a copy of the book at my website at www.dr, spelled all the way out, calvinellison.com.
All right, Todd.
You can get a copy of the book from me if you go to menmagnifyingmanhood.com and visit the media page and scroll down. You can find the copies of the book there that you can get, and that's hardwired to me. So you can get them there. And also my Men Magnifying Manhood Facebook there as well.
Okay, and Jerome?
Yes, you can get a copy from me by contacting me through Facebook at Jerome Miller, LinkedIn, Jerome Miller, by email, which I'll provide in the chat box, and also by my phone number. Those are the ways you can contact me to get a copy.
All right, and Miss Michelle?
You can get a book for me from menmagnifyingmanhood.com, my LinkedIn, Michelle Dawkins, and my Facebook, Michelle Dawkins.
I love it. Well, this is the end of our fabulous platform panel discussion. We appreciate everyone that has chimed in, that has taken their time to be able to hang out with us.
My computer died, guys. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Shout out all of your social media, Patrick, before we go.
Oh, I don't have a lot of social media, but I got some coming though.
All
I
right.
don't have no Facebook, no nothing. But
But
I got
he's
a
a business
website coming
now.
though.
That's right. He said, I'm a business now. I'm ready.
All
I'm
right.
excited. I'm excited. We so appreciate you guys. This is the end of our fabulous panel discussion. We will see you guys soon. Thank you guys for tuning in to Black Author Matters Tour. Make sure you're following us. Follow us at the BAM Tour. You can also, if you would like to be a participant in the Black Authors Matters Tour, you can head over to www.thebamtour.com and you'll be able to sign up at the website and get further information on this fabulous, fabulous, fabulous groundbreaking thing that Nico has created. We thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.
Thank you, Lissha.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for being a great host as well.